Ciao folks, Nick here from the Amphora Annals. Thank you for tuning in. We've got two very special winemakers talking on this episode. We have got Senses Winery based in Russian River and Sonoma Coast with Christopher Streiter, absolutely fabulous wines. Also the El Diablo vineyard, which is probably the greatest named vineyard on the planet. And then we've also got Andrew Mariani from Scribe Winery based up again in Sonoma with two fabulous wines, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, both unlike anything that I was expecting. So I hope you enjoy the interviews and we'll speak soon. Ciao.
We're going to drink some Scribe Chardonnay from Sonoma Valley. So Scribe's winery we started about 15 years ago, but the property dates back to the 1850s. There's a vineyard there from 1858 until Prohibition in 1919. It's a very unique viticultural area. We're on the southern tip of the Mayacamas mountain range that separates Napa and Sonoma. It's called Arrowhead Mountain there, and it's all volcanic tufa, ashy soils. So this Chardonnay grows on the Arrowhead slope in those ashy soils, and we get a lot of exposure through the Petaluma Gap out to the Pacific Ocean, and also from the tip of the San Francisco Bay, the San Pablo Bay. So this wine grows in a very ashy, salty, breezy, cool site. All those things combined, I think, result in a wine that retains a lot of natural acidity and freshness and vibrancy, really high-toned, energetic, quite delicious and powerful. I think the volcanic soils create a gritty kind of power focus to the wine, and which kind of helps lift it and give it a lot of energy and vibrancy. Yeah, super, really salty, mineral driven, lemon curd, freshness, citrus, very angular, and quite energetic and spry.
Okay folks, hello, Nick here again. We have now got Christopher from Senses Winery in California. We have just tasted through the whole range. Absolutely sensational. Thank you so much. Yeah. That was an honour and a privilege to taste. But could you just give us a little bit of background on the winery in particular?
Yeah.
And whereabouts you're from?
Yeah, so I'm Christopher Streiter, born and raised in Occidental. We're talking extreme West Sonoma coast of Sonoma County in California. We started this thing, myself and my two lads, Max Terriot, Miles Briggs, back in 2011. We're talking friends since preschool, and came back home from various work, college, actor, other graduate school, to go home to the vineyards we grew up on as kids and to learn how to farm them and to make some wine from them. So we did this in 2011, started with whatever money we had, made 100 cases of wine, and released this to the world, and pretty much bootstrapped our way from 100 cases all the way up to about 5,000 cases to the day.
Is there a reason you picked Chardonnay and Pinot Noir as your two?
Oh, absolutely. So you gotta imagine, put yourself in like the West Sonoma coast, cold region, foggy, mornings, foggy afternoons, cold nights. Like the grapes that are gonna grow the best are gonna be Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. So it's not so much that we chose them, except, and more so that they chose us. And that has to do with just the backyard, the climate, and of course the soil. And these are the wines, this is, for example, Charles Heinz. These are the wines that we want to drink. Pure, fresh, acidity-driven, but still has that California sunshine, and that's what you get on the coast, but also a little bit in the Russian River Valley as well.
It's interesting you said about the coast. Listening to a few podcasts recently and learning a little bit about California, which is why today's tasting has been so good, is that the coastal element is so important. Now, would you say that the Pacific element, the water, we were talked about this before about me going surfing and losing my nipples. But the surfing element and the cold water element when it comes to the coast, what kind of tasting note or what's the word
influence?
Influence, there we go, thank you very much. What kind of influence would you say that has on coastal wines?
I mean, there's a lot, right? There's a lot to unpack there. But you gotta think, like, these vineyard sites are quite rugged. So you're talking ridge tops, it's the only place you can actually plant grapes in this climate where the weather, the maritime influence, the maritime climate is kind of constantly beating down. We're talking pretty high winds, obviously there are calm winds too, but high winds, those cold nights, like that's pretty extreme. So we can kind of consider this backyard, the West Sonoma coast, as an area where we are farming on the edge. And so when you're on the edge, you're working with soil that's less fertile. So you tend to get wines that, there's more complexity. These grapes are hanging on the vine for a longer period of time. So the flavors are more pronounced, they're deeper, they will be more intense. Because if it's really windy and cold, you're going to get smaller berries, you're going to get more extraction, more intensity. And then of course it's really the acid. If there's one thing, it's acid profile. And sometimes that can be as much as like an electric lemonade, or kind of like
lemonade?
Yeah. Or some people might go with the wet rocks thing, or the minerality and the salinity.
Have you copyrighted that?
No, but I should, huh?
Right, oh my god,
I love that.
That is going to be a new bar in Manchester, I'll tell you that now, electric lemonade. But that's a great, but that's the thing, all of your Chardonnays and your Pinots are completely different from bottle to bottle, but the one thing that remains through all of them is that postcode, thumbprint, acidity, and to a certain degree Italians, certain amounts of time, but they're all classic, but with a completely different style. Now, just to finish up very quickly, we could do tasting notes, but we'll do that another time. There's too many wines to go through. But can I just ask you about the El Diablo vineyard?
Oh yeah.
My favourite vineyard on the planet. Can you tell us about El Diablo? And what kind of Chardonnay it makes?
El Diablo is quite the contrast to the stuff on the coast. So El Diablo is more inland, it's a warmer site. We pick it a month before we pick Charles Heinz, which is out on the coast. It's a beautiful kind of white nectarine, white peach, kind of stone fruit driven Chardonnay. And I think, for the most part, the site's nickname is El Diablo, right?
That's why I asked. That's the greatest name for a vineyard.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe. Oh no, I'll tell you what. We'll come to that another day. But honestly, as soon as you said that, I was like.
Every year, that site, it's the first to ripen because it is inland, but it just has the perfect profile. The numbers are perfect. The flavor's perfect. There's nothing we would do to change that wine. And what I love is that we make all these wines the same way. And, kind of blows my mind as a site that's inland, for it to still have that perfect acidity, kind of racy acidity, a little more structure, a little more like muscle to it. It's such a contrast to what you see on the coast, but it's still this beautiful wine despite the warmer climate. It proved to me that amazing sites can exist not just in the cold, but also in warmer spots, but obviously not too warm. Still a cool climate.
Which is what I've learned about California today. Is that, again, I've got a little bit of knowledge, but what I've learned today is that it is so different from postcode to postcode, zip code to zip code. It's completely different. A stone's throw is completely different. I always had this thing in my head of, it's Central Valley's always going to be warm, but then I learned about Napa and all these different little areas. That no, it depends where the air is getting funneled and so on and so forth. And that's for the whole region of California, is that you've got an amazing terroir and amazing tools to play with. And quite frankly, the Chardonnay the Pinot Noir and the Cabernet Sauvignon and the Petit that I've tried today have been absolutely amazing from different types, of course. But I'd just like to thank you, Chris.
California, baby.
Really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure.
We've got to come over and have some oysters.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
oysters, Chardonnay, I'm there.
Some rock and roll. Anyway,
Rock and roll,
thank you very
baby.
much.
Cheers,
Thank
guys.
you. Cheers, dudes.
Thank you again.